If you look closely at the worship participants in the bulletin, you will notice I've decided to change my name. Jim seemed too mundane, so yes, indeed, I've now officially dropped the J. It's not pronounced im, it's pronounced I am, and that sounds hipper. I sound like a rapper, don't I? I am. And it sounds declarative. I am Keck. I am Groot. Dr. Martin Luther King was the greatest American theologian by a mile. Now, I know you might think of him primarily as a civil rights leader or as a Christian minister. Or now he is so iconic, he's essentially a disembodied figurehead. But he was, in a very specific way, the greatest theologian in American history. By a long shot. Listen, he went to Boston University to earn a degree in systematic theology, a PhD. His dissertation is in a particular line of German theological reflection. Martin Luther King went to BU to study with Edgar Sheffield Brightman, who was the leading light of a specific school of thought called theological personalism. In theological personalism, God is the infinite consciousness through which all things come into being. All physical matter is some phase or aspect of consciousness, the divine consciousness. And so matter is not primary, consciousness is. Now, this image of God in personalism is very biblical because God in the Bible is described as a person, a consciousness. I don't mean someone that has arms or legs. God in the Bible is a consciousness, a will, a hope, a dream. In theological personalism, it gets really intense about ethics. In this school of thought, every human being is a consciousness that has been created by the infinite consciousness. Every human being is a unique consciousness and possesses intrinsic and inherent dignity. For the theological personalists, there is a great humility when you encounter a person, another consciousness, because they can't be placed in any category. You can't fully know their depths. They are of infinite depth. And so you must stand in the mystery and humility and always honor their intrinsic dignity. In theological personalism, no human being can ever be treated as an object to be moved around for your purposes. A person is not an object, they are a full subject, an infinite consciousness. They can never be used as a means to an end. They are an end in and of themselves. Dr. Martin Luther King, steeped in this particular theology, began to understand that it was racism that is the pulverization of the person. In theological personalism, you have to be on the constant lookout for what or who is being depersonalized. And racism does exactly that, turns a person into a thing or a category. So Dr. Martin Luther King threw himself into the breach. This is what makes a great theologian, to have a depth of an understanding of God and then be willing to act upon it. He threw himself in harm's way because of the pulverization of persons that he was seeing. The greatest American theologian. Will you bow with me? Almighty God, this weekend we give thanks for the life, the witness, and the thought of Dr. Martin Luther King. We are awed by his courage to live your vision, to dream your dream. We pray, O God, that in this new day each one of us will seek to understand thee and then live it. This we pray in the beautiful name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So last week, I was in a gathering of 45 ministers in Florida. They came in from all around the country. Now, it's not as noble as it sounds. It would have been noble if we met in North Dakota in the winter. We met on a beach. But it was fascinating to be with this group, and we were trying to explore what is the future of the church. These times are so chaotic. Everything is so complex. What is the future of the church? Society is evolving so fast. And so that we have to be discovering new ways to be church. Christ is the pure manifestation of love. Church is the effort to make that love known and to bring its transformative power to work in human lives. Let me repeat that. Christ is the pure manifestation of love. Church is the effort to make that love known and to bring its transformative power to work in human lives. And so these pastors were from churches all around the country. And there's so much news about how people are less interested in going to church, or that organized religion seems irrelevant or beside the point. And all these pastors were working with their congregations to be church in some newly powerful way. There was a pastor of a church in New York City, Manhattan, an incredibly historic church. And I was talking to him about it, and he told me that his church was critical in helping New York City become abolitionist in the 1800s. You might not remember, but it was not clear whether New York City was going to be a northern type city because it relied massively on the cotton trade. It was not clear which way it would turn, but this church in the middle of Manhattan began to invite in Harriet Tubman to preach in its pulpit. They invited Sojourner Truth to preach in its pulpit. They had Frederick Douglass preaching there multiple Sundays. That church helped turn New York City into an abolitionist town. An amazing history, but now that church has dwindled to just really a handful of people, and yet they're sitting upon millions and millions of dollars of real estate value. What should they do to grab the future? I was talking with a pastor from Philadelphia. Amazing man. His father was dean of Morehouse College. He'd been involved in the historically black colleges in his work, but he decided he wanted to start a church. So he picked a neighborhood in the poorest part of Philadelphia, and he began a church. Now on a Sunday morning, just 5 years later, there's over 1,000 people that gather on Sunday morning, almost all 18 to 30-year-old African Americans, young. And there's a power of the Holy Spirit. But he said to me, Jim, I guess, or I am, no. He said, I'm not sure it's going to be sustainable. I said, what do you mean? You have 1,000 people gathering on Sunday morning. He said, you don't understand. In this neighborhood in South Philly, it's always hand to mouth. Always. I don't know if we'll make it. Well, wait a minute. A church in New York City with countless millions, another church in Philadelphia full of the Spirit but not sure it will make it. There might be a holy possibility here to share. There was a pastor from a church of snowbirds. You know, one of those big churches in Florida where lots of people come down from the north and the church is doing well. But during COVID, they went digital in a big way. So now, not many people are gathering physically. It's a big, strong church, but not many people are actually there. They're watching digitally or on live stream. And so this pastor is wondering, should we just stop the live stream? You know, should we just stop doing that and help people come back? Because they're not sure how to create community just through the live stream, and they don't know what to do. It's so confusing. There was a pastor from a church in Seattle. They just found out last year that running under their building is a conduit of some sort where salmon migrate through that little waterway. They found out that it's crumbling, and the state has said they have to fix it for $25 million. They don't have $25 million. So now they're suing the state. By the way, do you know we have a fox that lives in our courtyard? Have you seen that? If foxes become protected, we're doomed. So now they're caught up with litigation against their own state. They don't even know what their future is going to be, what's possible. These are confusing times. There was a church from Connecticut, another historic church. In fact, it was Mark Twain's church. And they're still strong, but their neighborhood right around them has changed completely. It's a poorer neighborhood now, and they don't really even know their neighbors, and they're not even sure how to minister. Jesus said, love your neighbors, but they don't even know their neighbors. How do they begin? What are they going to do? Another church from a wealthy suburb in Chicago, strong church, beautiful witness. They're holding strategic planning meetings, and the pastor told me he has never seen anything like it. In these strategy meetings, no one knows what to do. Everything seems so confusing. Everything is shifting. What are we supposed to do to be church? I talked to a pastor in Texas at this meeting. His church is theologically progressive. But it's in a town that is really theologically conservative. And in these times now, I'm talking theology, but in these times, politics is thrown into everything. And this whole liberal-conservative divide is like super intense, and everything is being torn apart, and they feel less at home in their own town. Talking with these pastors, there was a sense that everything is untethered. What are we to do? I want to tell you today, we're not untethered. The Christian church anywhere, in any situation, is not untethered. I want to tell you, we have the perfect tether. We are anchored in the perfect mission or strategy or hope. We always know exactly how to grab the future because the future has been shown to us in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the essence, the hope, the purpose of the Christian church. Christ is the pure manifestation of love. Church is the effort to make that love known and to bring its transformative power to work in human lives. The mission is always the same, and the mission is utterly compelling, utterly magnetic. A church doesn't have to try to be impressive or interesting or incisive in some unique way, because we have the most magnetic, alluring image of all time, Jesus Christ. I want to remind you of the sheer beauty of this core essence of the church. And the way it's presented in the gospel will be endlessly attractive to human beings. The church just has to step out of the way of it. Let me remind you of Jesus Christ in our gospels. He's a personalist. And you could see him encounter persons and present to them a full recognition of their dignity, of their intrinsic worth. In every setting, he treats everyone the same, be it a king or a pauper. There is an equality of souls that is thoroughgoing. If he's encountering a sinner or a prostitute or a Pharisee, they are treated with that same dignity. If he is treating people that have gone completely sideways, the wicked ones, he shows a type of unconditional, positive regard of the human being, always. And it's stunning. And in this image of Jesus Christ, we have the perfect moral exemplar. If you're unsure what you're aspiring to, we have the image to aspire to. In the Gospels, he's trying to show us a way beyond self-centeredness. Oh, this is our key ethical dilemma as a human being. We become self-centered. That is what we sink into. Hey, you're a person. You're a consciousness of extraordinary depth. You are endlessly interesting. So you could just kind of sink in with yourself and, hey, it's interesting, but you become more solipsistic, more completely self-involved. The whole world becomes only through your perspective, self-centeredness. But in the Gospels, we see a man that lived for others. He presents the perfect counter-image, the real way to live. Because in our life, everything that is good still draws us into self-centeredness. In our culture, it's good to have ambition. It's good to want to get after it and be a success, but that can draw you deeper and deeper into self-centeredness. Almost everything that is good can pull you deeper and deeper into it being about you. And then we have this man that lived for others. The perfect moral exemplar. All of religion, following him, is trying to pull you out of your self-centeredness. That's because we follow him. How would you know how self-centered you are? It's kind of tricky. How would you know if you're like super self-centered or just a little bit? You can't really know. But you can know that's where we will go, left to our own devices. Self-centeredness. And so Jesus knows there's really three experiences in life that can pull you out of self-centeredness. Really three main experiences. Love. If you love someone, that pulls you out of yourself. You start to care for another in a way beyond your imagination. Love. Faith. If you believe in God, that by definition means there's a higher power than you. And suffering. Oh, in our suffering, we finally develop an empathy for others. Love, faith, suffering. Jesus begins to teach and bring about experiences that create love and faith and suffering. He's asked us to suffer alongside him. And love, what does he teach? The great commandment, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. That'll pull you out of self-centeredness. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. This image that's presented in the gospel, the core mission and purpose of the church. No matter how chaotic our times become, it stays the same. He is presented as the ultimate person of peace. Unbelievably, he is completely nonviolent in the Gospels. Walter Wink, a great biblical interpreter, believed that there is a story right at the heart of Western civilization. There's a story we tell ourselves again and again, and it's a bad one. He calls it the myth of redemptive violence. The story goes like this, that violence can fix problems. And we tell this story to ourselves in novels and in movies and cartoons. It's everywhere. Violence can fix things. Violence can finally bring order out of chaos. That at some point in every story we tell, the good people, the people that think they're moral, will kick the butt of the bad people. That's how you fix things. Kick their butt. It's in almost every story we tell ourselves. And then, thank God, the gospel gives us another story. Thank God. Violence never fixes problems. Violence never solves anything. So Jesus completely eliminates it. He is willing to die rather than self-defend, because he would never use violence, ever. These are confusing times. And we are trying to discover what it is to be church, but I know where we'll discover it. It's always the gospel. My New Testament professor used to remind me that the word believe comes from Old English for beloved. So I'll ask you what I always ask you, to believe in Jesus Christ, to beloved Him, to take Him into your heart. This is what believe means. What will you commit your heart to? Beloved Him. Christ is the pure manifestation of love. Church is the effort to make that love known in your own heart and in our world.